Oi, there's a moose, there's a moose. I'm Josh Carlson. I'm from originally from Wollongong, Australia, and now I live in Vancouver, BC in Canada. I ride for the Giant Factory off-road team, focusing on enduro. Unfortunately, I'm out of action because I had a crash in the second round of the Enduro World Series in Val d'Oise in France. It was on day 2, first stage, and yeah, just a little bit too much mist, a little bit too much froth going on, and busted myself up pretty good and proper. So I had to spend a week in a French hospital where no one spoke English at all. Like, the surgeon barely spoke a little bit of English. One of the nurses on Wednesday spoke a bit of English, and it was just like this awkward fumble communication of numbers and ça va, which means good, and pointing to where the pain was, and like acting out sign language and stuff. It was pretty funny. So yeah, I ended up breaking my elbow into a few pieces. I broke my scapula back here, fractured that, and broke 2 ribs, snapped them in half. So I had to do surgery on my elbow on the Monday morning, put a couple of pins and a few bits of wire in there, and the rest has just got to heal, and now it's pretty much 3.5 weeks on, and yeah, trying to get the recovery process going. You know, from a little kid, when I was racing Pee-wees and watching Damon Bradshaw and Ricky Johnson and all those guys, and I grew up just, my dad used to race motocross as a professional in Australia and raced in America, and then when I was coming through the junior ranks and senior, that was the goal. You know, that was what I wanted to do, and that's what Dad and I were putting our entire life into to make it happen. And then it got to the point where I was like, what, 19 I think, or 19 or 20, and I had another crash, broke my wrist. Had a crash, broke my wrist, and it wasn't that bad of a crash kind of thing. It was pretty simple wrist break, and it kind of got to the point where we kind of exhausted all our resources already chasing the national series around Australia for just a couple of years, and then it was like, well, we're either all in or that's it. We're going to pull the pin. You're going to get a real job, pay off your bikes, hit restart, and get on with the rest of your life. You know, stop chasing the dream kind of thing. I went down the other route. Like, I stopped racing, got a job, paid off my debts for all my bikes kind of thing, and it got to the point where, like, my sponsor was ringing me saying, hey, I've got 3 bikes ordered for you for 2006. Do you want them or not? Like, you need to give me an answer by Tuesday. And so we had to say no kind of thing and say, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pay these off. And I would just become a labourer and was partying and hanging out, and yeah, mountain bikes was never even on my radar, ever. It was like February of 2006, and my dad said to me, why don't you go and have a look at a mountain bike race? You know, you'd probably be pretty good at it. You know, you're pretty fit, race motocross, why not? And I just had a beater bike, like literally a $500 Diamondback Outlook Sport. So it wasn't a real mountain bike at all, but that's all I had, and just joggers and a helmet. And I went over to Penrose State Forest in New South Wales, Southern Highlands. And yeah, just literally looked it up on the internet, Wollongong mountain biking, come up with Wollongong Mountain Bike Club, Club Day, Penrose State Forest this weekend. Oh, sweet, righto, no worries. Packed the bike in the back of my mum's Mitsubishi Lancer. My girlfriend, well, my fiance now, but girlfriend at the time, came with me, and we just went and did this race, and I had no idea about mountain bikes at all. And it was like an 1.5-hour race, and it just blew my mind. There's guys on the starting line next to me with $9,000 Iron Horse dualies and carbon fiber giant NRS dualies, and yeah, it was crazy. Anyway, I went on to, like, I was 2nd overall that day to Johnny Hardwick, and I won the open men outright, and it was pretty funny. But even that didn't even really kickstart it. That just got me interested in it. I started riding after that. You know, it was really hard, but just started riding throughout 2006 kind of thing. 2007, I bought a Giant Anthem to continue riding and stuff like that, and entered in the Spearman Cycle Scott 24-hour team, and then I just started to snowball slowly and do some club racing. Went to an expert level national series in Yellow Monday, and then 2008 entered the national series in expert, and then my first race I won. The second race in Gold Coast in Queensland, I ended up lapping 2nd place in expert. Everyone was like, dude, you can't race expert anymore. Anyway, and then yeah, that was it. So 2018, I think I placed 3rd in the cross country state champs in the elite men's up in around Newcastle in New South Wales. And then 2009, that's when I started training and thinking, right, I might have a crack at this. You know, if I can start training properly. I linked up with Mark Fenner from FTP Training, and he set me up a program. We started working together. I started training properly, riding a bunch. So I bought a roadie in 2009, and yeah, I had a bit of support from Spearman Cycles, and they were helping me out, and Giant. And yeah, then that evolved into 2010. I got third at the Australian Cross Country Championships in the elite men. My original idea was to travel to Europe in 2011 and live in Belgium and race cross country. You know, race around all the European cross country races, link up with the Dratbag Porsche team that was living in Ghent, I think, in Belgium, just around the corner from where I was thinking about living. And spoke to a whole bunch of people about it and tried to line up some contacts. And my team manager at the time from Rockstar Racing knew Scott Sunderland, and he was helping me trying to line up some contacts and stuff like that. And then I went down to Mount Buller with Johnny Hardwick for the launch of the Stonefly Trail. And we were driving home that day, and I was telling him about all my plans, and we were just chatting, you know, as you do over a 10-hour drive, and talking about stuff. And he's like, "Have you ever thought about going to America?" And I was like, "Nah, what's in America?" And he's like, "Oh, well, blah, 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 blah." Started chatting about it. He gave me Rowney's contact, spoke to Rowney. One of my mates, Emil, had raced in America. Rando raced in America. And I was like, Sid had raced in America. I was like, huh, yeah, right. That doesn't sound like such a bad idea. Then that whole next 3 days that I got home, I pretty much had all my tickets booked, planned, ready to go to Belgium. That was what I was doing. Got home, cancelled all that, had a flight booked to Boulder in Colorado, spoke to some friends. They linked me up with awesome family, the Shuckies in Colorado, and they took me in and let me live in their house for 6 months. And it's John Hardwick's fault. It's kind of funny. I don't know if they realise kind of thing, but there's a few people that had a huge influence in pretty much where I'm sitting today. And that's probably Johnny Hardwick, Sid. He helped me out a lot because I travelled around a lot with him in 2011, and he's, you know, Sid's a legend of the sport, and he's a legend in general. Like, he's a really good bloke, and he did a lot for me to help me out and travel around and get my feet wet in America kind of thing. Speaking to Rowney about the whole thing, speaking to Emil and Jared Rando. He had spoken to these guys from Giant and kind of put my name in their ear, so they kind of had heard Rando talk about me before, and then I showed up and introduced myself and went through that whole awkward process kind of thing, and hanging around and just asking if I could put my bag under their tent while I was at the Sea Otter Classic in 2011, and trying not to step on anyone's toes, and, you know, playing the game that you do when you're a rookie coming into the world of professional athletes and stuff. So yeah, those guys had a huge influence in where I sit today. And I don't know if they realise all that or not, but if they ever see this, I thank them a lot.